All right, ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to introduce our next guest speaker, Michal Nespor. Michal is a partner at Crowdberry Investment Management and has over 12 years of experience working with startups in both the roles of an investor as well as a founder. Michal, hi.
Hi, thank you for having us.
Thank you for being with us, of course. Maybe I'll just move into the first question. Could you tell us more about Crowdberry?
Sure. I think I'll tell you a little bit more about Crowdberry and our subsidiary, CB Investment Management. Crowdberry has been around at the Slovak and Czech market for almost 5 years. We're going to be 5 in 4 weeks from now. Crowdberry is in crowd investment platform, if you had to put it in a bucket. It's an alternative investment platform connecting SMEs, small medium-sized companies, and specialty real estate projects with private investors. It's 3,000 investors by now, which are mostly entrepreneurs, managers, family offices, some institutional investors. And building on Crowdberry's history, we won a public tender last year, which gave us an early stage investment fund, which is managed by Crowdberry's fully owned subsidiary CB Investment Management. It's 23 million euros of permanent capital selected for investments into young Slovak startups of age 3 and 5 years of maximum. Our mandate is to invest into 45 companies over the next 3.5 years in a broad variety of sectors, with a certain connection to Slovakia. The tickets range somewhere between a couple of 100,000 euros and 1.6 million euros as a maximum.
Right. Thank you for that. So, if I understand correctly, Crowdberry's subsidiary CB Investment Management is managing the biggest and certainly the most important fund for young companies in the region. Maybe to move more into a local, or contemporary topic, I should say, do you feel that the current crisis mitigated the interest to gain financial resources from the CBIM fund?
Actually, it's quite the opposite. There are many companies which actually arise, and we expect more to arise out of the crisis because people will lose jobs inherently. And many good companies in the history have risen out of such crisis. So we already see an influx of new investment opportunities and startups asking for investment. And we expect this number to rise over the next 1 or 2 years.
Okay, that's a great sign for the young entrepreneurs in our region, of course. What would you say are some additional benefits of this fund?
Sure. For one, the fund management team, that's me and my colleagues, can draw on more than, you mentioned 12 years, but it's actually been 15 years since I've started to work in this business for a venture capital investment fund in German-speaking Europe. My colleagues have a broad range of experience from investment banking, mergers and acquisitions, valuations, due diligence, audit. So we have a broad network and our own experience, other people in our network that can help the companies. And as I mentioned before, after receiving financial support from the investment fund, we have an agreement with Crowdberry as the alternative investment platform where the companies can go looking for further investment capital, either in the same investment round or in subsequent follow-on rounds where they require additional capital for growth.
Okay, that's a great point, and it's great to hear that you have 2 ways of doing this. In regards to the situation right now with the COVID-19 and everything that has come up with that, of course, a lot of things bad and a lot of things have come out well. I just wanted to ask, will, in this post-COVID-19 era, is there any particular route that your fund management company is going to take in regards to investing and collaborating with startups? Is there going to be any change?
I mean, there are two ways from a helicopter view, two ways on looking at this. One is the selection of the startups that we sort of consider for investments. Obviously, the current pandemics have shown us that we have to rethink a few things. There have been, and we think that there will be start to certain structural changes in the economy. So we see business models related to e-commerce, on moving retail to online, to the online space, local, regional production is flourishing, and these are the segments that we would like to focus on. The other way, or the other perspective is that having seen a lot of companies approaching us with requests to funding, we set up and approved in our investment committee a convertible loan program, which is a shortened period of time from first point of contact until the companies can get a smaller investment, and to help them keep going or help them move to the next milestone. So 10 to 15 companies will have the chance to receive up to 100,000 euros in, let's say, 4 to 6 weeks from first point of contact, which is much more shorter than our usual due diligence and very deep view process that we do with larger investments.
Okay, that's a very good point. In the question before, you spoke about two sources of financing, and one of this is the investment management fund, and then you have Crowdberry's other source, which is crowd investing. I, as a user of daily products, see a huge, I guess, part of this in Kickstarter and commercial websites for products like that. How do you see the future of crowd investing in your sphere of work?
I mean, crowd investing has gained significance in each economy. It was used as a very important source of capital. If you look abroad to countries like the UK or Germany or France or the US, you will see large crowd investing platforms actually, which is a little bit differentiated from crowdfunding. I would consider crowd investing in a sector where a company can get investment capital that they can use for growth. Crowdfunding I would see as a product validation and a marketing platform where you actually promote a certain product of your company. But crowd investing has gained, and in our understanding, will gain even a more significant role in each economy in terms of financing small and medium-sized companies. This was also recognized by the EU, the European Union, which will pass a EU-wide regulation on crowdfunding, crowd investing, sometimes later this year. It should have been passed in May this year, but due to COVID-19, it was postponed to October. It's already passed the approval of the finance ministers of every European country, and will have to pass through the European Parliament. This will unify the regulation around crowdfunding and basically simplify the regulation for each crowd investment platform in each European country. So there will be the same regulation for each company and for each crowdfunding platform to raise capital this way.
Great. Well, thank you for defining the difference between crowdfunding and crowd investing. I mean, I'm sure it's a question that comes up a lot for at least the basic consumer. So you're speaking about these high quality teams. Now, Crowdberry entered the life science industry through an internationally awarded startup, Multiplex DX. Because COVID-19 has brought up so much attention, even from the consumers or the end users, do you see that the post-pandemic world is a favorable place for young life science companies?
It's a good question. I think that the post-COVID-19, and I hope that the post-COVID-19 world will be a better place for smart experts running young companies. I mean, Multiplex DX is a very good example of why private investments should be channeling to very early stage companies, because the Multiplex DX received its first investment, I think, in 2015, followed then by two other investment rounds in 17 and 18. And this is why the company could have survived and developed also the COVID-19 test, which brought Slovakia to its independency in terms of COVID-19 testing. The private investors back then, so a couple of years back, supplemented the role of the state, which should have basically given Multiplex DX some public funding and grant schemes. But a handful of private investors, venture funds, and really private investors sort of took the risk, invested into the company on good faith, and nowadays the society, the Slovak government, and the Slovak population can benefit from these investments because there is a company which assured independence from COVID-19 testing in Slovakia.
Right. Is there anything else that this COVID pandemic has brought for or meant for Multiplex DX?
Well, I think visibility. I have to say that Multiplex DX primary path is in cancer diagnostics, and COVID-19 was something they sort of cooked up on the side because also with the help of the private investors, the company could set up very well functioning team of experts, knowledgeable enough to sort of react to the pandemic situation and improve the testing protocol, the international testing protocol, and sort of produce first a couple of 100,000 tests for COVID-19. So one is visibility, another is business opportunity, because there are foreign governments and foreign companies that have started to address Multiplex DX with inquiries about the COVID-19 testing and also other cooperations.
That's great to hear, and the investment is definitely paying off in this case. So we've spoken about Multiplex DX. Another company that has been extremely successful is Jim Beam, which is focused on healthy lifestyle products and dietary supplements for exercise. And surprisingly, I mean, it's growing. The company is growing despite all of the sports facilities being locked down. You spoke about adaptability. How much of that had to come in here to adapt Jim Beam to rise in the situation of the COVID-19 lockdown?
Yeah, I mean, Jim Beam benefited from the situation, as I mentioned before, because a lot of shops were closed. People started moving their shopping online. Jim Beam was in a good segment already. The growth path was laid out. They made their decision of the digital online market store a couple of years back. The adaptability part of the equation was that suddenly the demand of Jim Beam's customers changed, because people started and were willing to invest into online shopping and sort of increase their stock levels. So Jim Beam very quickly adapted to the situation, changed the stock. So the offering of the products on their platform, which gave them even a bigger growth boost than before.
In terms of this startup, or just startups in general, they managed to change their plans, which was great. But what are investors really looking into these days? in these times of insecurity?
Can you repeat the question, please?
I was just asking, when it comes to a startup, what are the sort of basic qualities that investors are looking for in the current times of insecurity?
I think that the qualities investors are looking in startups hasn't changed for ages. I mean, it's two main things. You look at the market opportunity, the structure and the dynamics of the market, and more importantly about the team. So which team is running the startup, the young companies, what is their background, and if they have the sort of preconditions to make it successful, to make successful pivots, changes, adapt to a change course, So this is the two main things. We look at the market opportunity, the structure of the market, and then the team, and we try to identify holes in the team, in the management team or the founders team, and sort of try to help them fill these gaps.
So, I mean, the funny thing is your name is Michal Nespor, which in Slovak means, well, Michael is Michael, but Nespor is don't save. So oddly, I'd just like to ask, is it the time to save, or is now the right time to negotiate investors for young startups?
Hey, good bridge, man. I think for private investors or even institutional investors, when choosing wisely, this is the best time to start investing in privately held companies. So growth companies, stable, small and medium-sized companies. For private investors, I would say the best time to invest locally or in the region. Support the ecosystem around one's investments. Because if you look at the history, if you look at the structure of very successful ecosystems and economies, most are built on the back of a strong small and medium-sized enterprise segment, and this is where traditionally Germany, UK, US has been investing a lot of money. And I think for our region, it's also utterly important that private investors are looking into supporting this segment as well, in order to change the structure of, let's say, the Slovak and Czech economy, which is heavily dependent on manufacturing and in the automotive industry. And this will have its end. And when you build a small information and knowledge-based economy and supporting innovation and innovative companies by investment, it can have very beneficial effects on each economy, as you have seen on the example of Multiplex DX with its COVID-19 test, which saved a lot of money actually, because Slovakia was not dependent on buying expensive tests from abroad. It was available. Slovakia could have tested even faster and made a decision on basically opening up the economy again.
Oh, great, Michal, that has been very interesting. Before we finish, do you have any final conclusions or takeaways?
Final conclusions for young entrepreneurs and wannabe entrepreneurs: don't be afraid to start your own venture. Don't be afraid to fail, because failure usually means that you are learning something. And for investors that are currently looking at in which segment to invest in, I would say dare and invest in regional SMEs that will help strengthen the Slovak and Czech economy.
Great, thank you so much, and thank you for sharing about Crowdberry Investment Management. And we hope to see you at we will hopefully be seeing you at the end of this year at our live event. So thank you, Michal.
Thank you very much for having me. Good luck.
Thank you.